Hello, welcome to round one of the Duskit Draft League. Today we have the match between Banana and Brian Tan. Both players are honestly pretty good at their format, and they have really solid drafts. I don't have Banana's team code on me, but I do have Brian's team. He has brought the 7 Lumions. Oh, sorry. He has brought the 7 Lumions of Revenine, Verenasaur, Lashent, Chironix, Celesting, Joltooth, and Banfino. It is important to note that Joltooth Soulburst will be his restricted Lumion, although he only has one, so he'll probably be bringing it every week. But he seems to have some sort of fog plays going up with Fog Summon Chironix and Revenine, and potentially that Gloomy Lashent, along with Celesting and Banfino being a very powerful core. Banfino obviously being able to outspeed the Celesting with while running Very Nimble, setting up those charades for the Celesting to deal massive damage, while Celesting can also just Peace of Mind to get even stronger. So it's just a matter of see how either Banana or Ryan plays this out. As a reminder, it is a 4v4. As a reminder, it is a 4v4 game. You are only allowed to bring one restricted to each team preview, and forfeiting is not allowed. If you do forfeit, it'll just be counted as 0 Lumions for you. Chironix and Verenasaur comes out for Brian's side, as Oblast and Dainuki come out for Brian's. You see the Fog Summon from the Chironix immediately giving Banana the info that he needs. But now this Oblast will be ignoring any ability coming from this Verenasaur, meaning that its Primal Slashes will not be getting that Power Claw boost. This Chironix is always still threatening against this Oblast with those super effective light moves on Oblast's very much weaker defense stat. And this Dainuki is kind of just sitting here against this Chironix and Verenasaur. Dainuki is honestly pretty bulky, getting that priority rejuvenate and all. However, I'm unsure how much that'll actually help it out in the long run against something like a Verenasaur with Power Claw boosted Primal and Venom Slashes. This Oblast, of course, also has a ton of a variety of moves. It can go for Rock Slide, Landslides, it can go for Trick Shots, although Trick Shot is not very effective into either of these Lumions. Ryan accidentally brought 5. Yeah. Best of 3 4v4. Ryan had just accidentally brought 5 Lumions. We have the same leads going on here, and now they get a minute and 30 more seconds to think about everything they want to do. Chironix coming back with the Fog Summon. Every threat is still on the table. Welcome to the Duskit Draft League. I've already said all the critical info that's needed to be said for this turn. So now we just need to decide on... both players need to decide on what they want to do with said information that they have on the field. The only information that Brian has is that Oblast and Dainuki exist. But Banana, with the Fog Zone coming from the Chironix, now probably knows that this is a Prowler Revenant and probably a Gloomy Lashent. Lashent is obviously very dangerous, dangerously offensive Lumion with some great coverage. Ice Hammer and Earthquake being incredible coverage on top of both of your stabs. So honestly, fantastic defensive and offensive typing as well. And then, again, coverage coming after that. Dainuki just uses Barter, exchanging his heavy shackles for Venusaur's Toxic Essence, as Venusaur uses Primal Slash on the Dainuki, and Tyrannox uses Apparition onto the Obolast. Spectral Shell, increasing Apparition strength, but the Clutch Plushie from the Obolast will keep it on 1 HP, a critical hit, super effective, and Bane of Haste goes up from the Obolast, giving everything the speed advantage. Now this Obolast is currently the fastest thing on the field, and unless Venusaur or Tyrannox has some sort of priority move, such as a Shadow Sprint Tyrannox, which would honestly be really funny to see, but on the first week, I don't know if you want to go for something so daring. But with the speed orders reversed, Tyrannox is also extremely fast. I will not leave Tyrannox out of the question. Tyrannox is most definitely second fastest here if Obolast is not the fastest. Maybe third, depending on how fast Dainuki is, but Dainuki also has the priority moves with Handy, as we just saw with the Barter Heavy Shackles. Without Handy, it should have been the slowest Lumion on the field. Venusaur uses Barb Trap, protecting itself from any and all moves, as Tyrannox does use Apparition, being faster than the Obolast and killing it before it can do anything. Dainuki has just wasted a turn and energy. And now Ryan knows what to avoid in the future. We now know that the Obolast is Clutch Plushie. And Nautilus is now on the field. Nautilus not having the Thunder Orb yet, if it is running Thunder Orb, but not having Thunder Orb, so it won't be able to get that doubled power on the Splitting Headache. We have a game on our hands. Nautilus should be taking, I'm pretty sure, neutral damage from every move Tyrannox has, unless it has either Tricky Tactics. But it will be taking super effective damage from the Venusaur, but the Nautilus does just use Dodge, protecting itself from any attacks, as Dainuki uses its priority, Rejuvenate. Tyrannox calls this out using Magnify, bringing its range attack stat to a sharp +2, as Venusaur Primal Slashes into the dodging Nautilus. As this Thunder Orb goes off on the Nautilus, it is now the fastest thing on the field by a long shot, and this Venusaur is in trouble getting threatened by this super effective paralysis-boosted Nautilus Splitting Headache. Dainuki also, of course, being threatening in the terms of potentially a Barter removing the item of this Tyrannox. So this Tyrannox has no item anymore, and Venusaur will always be the slowest thing on this field. Considering that it now has the Heavy Shackles, making it move fast in any priority bracket. Or making it, sorry, mechanics, wrong. Lashent does come out for the Venusaur petrifying. It's not Gloomy, but petrifying, lowering the range attack of this Nautilus, making it do even less damage than it was originally. But the Splitting Headache actually goes into the Tyrannox, and Apparition going into the Nautilus, healing just over 50% HP. And now this Nautilus is being threatened by this Lashent too, and Bane of Haste is almost up. I believe it is one last turn of Bane of Haste due to the stalling turn that Banana had to do to get that paralysis on the Nautilus. Of course, this Tyrannox could just be killed by one single Splitting Headache. We've already gotten that determined. When Teamwork boosted Splitting Headache will be dealing more than 50% to this Tyrannox. So Brian actually withdraws the Tyrannox in exchange for Jolt Tooth, as Nautilus does just use Dodge. I'm pretty sure stalling out its last turn of Bane of Haste. Lashent uses Gnarly Dash, Nautilus is dodging the move, as Dainuki does just use Bamboozle onto the Jolt Tooth, dealing albeit minimal damage. And now this Joltooth is on the field, Joltooth can use the Fulgur Fangs into the Dainuki, removing all of its, giving essentially the Provoke, which it cannot dodge. Joltooth is his restricted Lumion. And this Lashent can also just pick up a KO onto this Nautilus due to the fact that it is now faster than it. But actually, Dorego swaps in for the Lashent. And now this Dorego is in trouble from this Joltooth. Because Joltooth has the super effective Thunder move, or Thunder? Electric moves into it. So while it'll still probably be tanking this here, and a potential Gnarly Ash, Dainuki is actually using Barter. But Primal Slash does go into the Dorego as Timber Thrash goes into that Dainuki. And this Dainuki is almost out of energy. And this Dorego is being threatened by this Joltooth. We 100% have a game on our hands. But it seems like Brian is just in the lead here. Brian has a safe out. This Dainuki cannot use Rejuvenate this turn. And Fulgur Fangs can come into it if Brian really wants to, removing all of its supporting moves, making it so that it cannot use the Rejuvenate. Dainuki lets its guard down to rest. Joltooth uses Thunderclap into the Dorego, not quite picking up a KO. Lashent uses Timber Thrash into the Dainuki, bringing it down to red HP, but this Dorego is now going to get set up with a Draco Beam into this Joltooth. Does not KO, but the range attack sharply rises for this Dorego, and now it is at +2. Now that it is set up, it is an insane threat to deal with. But this Dainuki can now just hit a Rejuvenate and have no charge, and not get charged at all. Dainuki uses its priority Rejuvenate that it knows oh so well. Joltooth Thunderclaps into the Dorego, picking up the KO. It is 2 to 4. Yeah, it is 2 to 4 for Brian. Timber Thrash brings Dainuki down to below 50%. Again, it's going to need to Rejuvenate once more. And this Nautilus is paralyzed. Yeah, Nautilus is paralyzed, but is below 50% HP. And also, it is weak to the super effective move of Primal Slash from Joltooth. Lashent swaps out, presumably for the Venusaur, sacrificing it because of the heavy shackles. Nautilus just uses the dodge. Joltooth Primal Slash misses into the Nautilus. Dainuki uses Bamboozle into the Joltooth. Will it pick up the KO? Just not quite. Just not quite. And now this Joltooth can pick up a KO onto this Nautilus. And Venusaur is still ever threatening to this Dainuki. Nautilus gets the double dodge as Venusaur uses bait. Joltooth uses Primal Slash, dodged by the Nautilus. Dainuki uses Bamboozle, cannot pick up a KO onto this Joltooth due to the bait from the Venusaur, and Joltooth still has one more move in it. One more move is all that it'll need. Venusaur uses bait once again. Joltooth Primal Slash going into the Nautilus, picking up the KO. As Dainuki now uses Bamboozle. Joltooth now has a safe swap and cannot do anything against. It'll lose the energy game in the long run. It cannot deal with all four of Brian's Lunians. This looks like a 4-0 victory. Joltooth Fulgur Fangs, disabling all of its support moves. Dainuki uses Bamboozle. Will it just be able to pick up the final KO? It will. 3-1 Dainuki, or 3-1 Brian. Game 1 goes to Brian 3-0. I'm excited to see any adjustments that Banana makes. That Aolyvul did not do much due to it being slower than the Chironix, which I am shocked about. Due to Brian not being a Bane of Haste team, unless he is a secret Bane of Haste on this Joltooth. Maybe he has the Bane of Haste on the Joltooth to reverse the Bane of Haste that he has. Or that Brian can have. Or that... Wait, I'm tired. That Banana has. And then he has maybe a Tronix to abuse it. I have no idea. Maybe he's actually slow on this Lashant. He's 0 speed UPs. I am surprised, I must admit. The Nuki was unfortunately just a sitting duck in the end game, and it couldn't do much in the... It just couldn't do any damage. It picked up, what, a 17 HKO on that Joltooth? Obviously, it wasn't the only move that had to deal with Joltooth. It was also being able to tank that Draco Beam coming from the Dorego. It was honestly kind of vital. Because then that Dorego gets the +2 boost. But more importantly, the Joltooth survived, meaning that it could pick up a KO on the next turn. But we see an adjustment from Brian immediately. We also see an adjustment from Banana. You see the Fog Summon. There is no shakedown on this Spinoki, which means that we are not getting the items revealed on the Tronix and the Revenine. Which has a few possibilities. This either means that A, this Spinoki is assertive, or B, this Spinoki is berserk. Now, either one is possible. If we see a preemptive strike come out, we obviously know which one it is. What I'm intrigued to see is what's going to be Brian's reaction. What is Brian going to do to be able to bounce back from a potential assertive preemptive strike? Dorego retreats from the field and Dainuki comes in. Dainuki obviously passive. And then Fadeaway coming from this Rev9, dealing such insane damage, over 50%, from a neutral move onto this Binoki. Binoki famously does not have the greatest defenses, but it still has defenses nonetheless. Binoki is slapped down onto the Tronix, slapping down a Spectral Shell to the ground. An Apparition comes out, presumably onto the Dainuki. It is onto the Dainuki, it is not very effective. This Dainuki can just do the same thing to this Venusaur this time. It can trade the Heavy Shackles in return for its Toxic Essence, but no, it just uses the Teamwork. Binoki slap down going onto the Venusaur, slapping down its Toxic Essence to the ground. Venusaur's Venom Slash will be picking up a KO onto this Binoki. As Tronix just uses a Magnify! A very risky play considering this Dainuki still has Heavy Shackles. Nautilus does just come out. I am intrigued. Dainuki uses Barter onto this Venusaur, but due to this dynamic speed not being introduced just yet, this Venusaur can still use Primal Slash, not quite picking up a KO. Tronix, Nova Blast into the Dainuki, not quite picking up a KO. Both on the red, but both just not enough. Now, this Dainuki has a way to heal itself up, albeit at the cost of so much energy. But this Nautilus does not. Dainuki uses Teamwork, trying to be able to KO this Tronix. But Venusaur just uses Barb Trap. Nautilus splitting headache goes into the Tronix, picking up a KO with a critical hit to go on top of it. Now the question truly is, what does he have in the back? He has a Joltooth! He has a Joltooth. I don't know if Joltooth will be able to take a splitting headache. I know this Venusaur won't, and I'm pretty sure the Revenine in the back won't. So this is all of a sudden looking very threatening. Dainuki uses Rejuvenate. And Nautilus does just use Splitting Headache going into the Venusaur with the bait, picking up a KO. As Thunderclap goes into the Nautilus, picking up the KO. The fog dissipated, but now... Oh, now the Dorego gets to come back in. And now you have to find a way to stall these last turns of the Bane of Haste. But their Bane of Haste setter is gone now, so if you're able to stall this out somehow, then you are thriving. Dainuki is just so passive, it can give as many teamwork boosts as it wants. But unless this Revenine doesn't know dodge, or Jolteith doesn't know dodge, a teamwork Draco Beam, I'm pretty sure, will pick up a KO onto this Jolteith. I don't think there's any questions about it. Jolteith just does go for the Soul Burst, increasing its defenses for this moment, but does increase its speed, I'm pretty sure making it the slowest thing on the field. Dainuki going first, using the teamwork. Dorego, Draco Beam, into the Revenine, picking up a one-hit knockout. Dorego's range attack sharply rises. But Jolteith, Fulgur Fangs, going into the Dorego. Dorego's support moves have been disabled. It can no longer dodge, if it even has a dodge. But this Bane of Haste is not up. Does this Jolteith have dodge? If it does not have dodge, this is incredible. This is horrible. Horrible, even, I would say, for Brian. Dorego, Draco Beam into the Jolteith dodge. Bane of Haste does end. This thing is almost out of energy. And this Dorego still cannot dodge due to the Fulgur Fangs. Dainuki lets his guard down to rest. Jolteith Thunderclap going into the Dorego. Picks up the KO. Jolteith will be able to pick up this 1v4, or this 1v2, as it uses Brawn Boost. Critical hit from the... Honestly, if Dainuki gets like 17 critical hits, it might be able to win this. But Jolteith Primal Slash is just doing so much more. Good game and well played. The Rejuvenate, but the Primal Slash will still just be doing too much. Honestly, at this point, Brian, just hit Brawn Boost again. Yeah. I don't think that Dainuki wins this. +6. I'm pretty sure this is just a 1 HKO now. And Jolteith not even. Jolteith Primal Slash is the one. No, I stand corrected. Not a one-hit KO. Apologies. That is 1 HP, I think. I think that is literally just 1 HP. But the Primal Slash. What a game. Thank you for tuning into the Duskit Draft League.